Welcome to From the Sidelines, a production of the University of the Bahamas Athletics Program. I'm Chris Saunders. My co-host is Bacchus Rolle, the men's head basketball coach here. On this journey we're going to be taking you on, we'll be looking at not only basketball in the country, and of course that's a passion of many of us, but we'll be looking at sports as well as we go on this journey, looking at how we can develop sports in the Bahamas, specifically basketball, but also making an impact in the sports field here and helping to develop our country as well. So again, the men's head basketball coach, Bacchus Rolle, joins us as co-host. Bacchus, what do you think we're going to get out of this?
Well, I think we should get a whole lot out of it, Chris. The idea is for us to take the development of the sport very seriously, not only basketball, but some of the other sports, to give our opinions on what we believe should happen to help these sports to progress even further. And of course, no doubt, sports is such an important part of our lives. It brings us discipline, it brings us joy, pain, but it teaches us how to succeed after failure. And I think that is something that we have to continuously push for our young persons to develop locally. And we just want a healthier nation. Sports does that for us, and that's what I want to continue to push.
When you talk about our internal mandate, we're not only just looking at basketball, we want to look at all sports as well, because sports is critical to the development of a society and a nation.
Yes, it is. And not only that, this is the University of the Bahamas. And so our mandate is to be at the very forefront of education, not only education in the wider sense, but in particular sports. And so we will look at some very educational things for sports, and how we can push to develop that, and of course introduce new educational philosophies regarding teaching sports.
One person who's been at the forefront of sports generally, but more specifically basketball, is our first guest here from the sidelines, Bahamas Basketball Federation president. He's been, I think, several positions in the BBF. He's the men's national head coach. He's been that for several years, an assistant coach for several years. He says that this may be his last go round as head coach, but of course, that pull of basketball is always there. We're talking about BBF president Mario Bowleg. Mario, talk a little bit about how you see your role as BBF president here in the country.
Well, first of all, Chris, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure to be on the first time of this sideline show.
Maiden voyage.
Right now, I've spent several, like, as you said earlier, I've held a few positions in the Federation prior to becoming the president. And under each president that I've sit under, I've seen basketball continue to grow to the next level. And it's my job now, sitting in the seat, to continue taking it to even a higher level. One of the things we want to do right now, as myself along with the president executives, is we want to make sure that our governance, the way the game is being governed and controlled in the country, is improved. To let everyone understand that we are the highest level of authority in basketball in the country, supersede none, no other, I should say. And at the end of the day, we want to bring back the basic principles of development of the game. We cannot continue to have players moving to one level to the next, but there's no development from the grassroots to replace these players. There has to be another DeAndre Ayton and Buddy Hield that is coming up and coming, even though we know that Sammy Hunter and Kai Jones are on the way, but we need to see who's behind those guys. And so for us, it's development of the game, governance of the game for sure, and ensuring that our associations understand that they play an important role in the development of the game as relates to covering the length and breadth of the Bahamas, because the 8 executive of the Bahamas Federation cannot do it by themselves.
All right, so we get just a quick preview of what's to come here on our very first From the Sidelines show. We'll be right back after this break. You're watching From the Sidelines, a production of UB Athletics. Welcome back to From the Sidelines. I'm Chris Saunders here. It's a production of UB Athletics. We're here talking with Bahamas Basketball Federation President Mario Bowleg. Mario, looking at basketball, how do you see basketball developing in the country, and how do you think that that's going to impact the country itself?
Well, Chris, again, I think it starts from, like I mentioned earlier, the governance. One thing that the Federation is doing is revamping its constitution and hopefully put it before the Assembly that will pass the new constitution. One aspect of that is that clubs that is now a part of the association must have a 5-tier that makes them a club. What I mean, you must have at least a mini, a super mini, a Division 1 and Division 2, on a junior, or you can have at least 4 of them. With that being said, that means the development of the game now comes back in place. You now have players who play now have to go and also become coaches, because as we develop players to move to the next level, not everyone who goes to the next level as a player also has to become either a coach or a referee or a statistician. So it's developing the entire game on itself is what the Federation is focusing on, and it's governance that is going to make it mandatory for persons to move in those areas.
Before we jump ahead, you talk about that 5-tier system. For those who aren't really familiar, how do I progress from one to the next? Where's the bottom? Where's the top? And what is that progression like?
Well, right now you have, let's look at Night League and each association around the island, around the country, I should say. Most of them have Division 1, Division 2 teams, but they have no development program. So as it states right now, during the next elections for the Federation, once this constitution is passed, those teams would be considered team and not a club. And the less club you have as an association, the less votes you would have. So in order for these administrators in the association wanting to ensure that they have the uttermost right say as it relates to who govern basketball in the country, then you would encourage your teams to become clubs. That would give you the amount of votes that you need to control the election of the Federation.
So again, talk about that. Talk about how do I have a club. Talk about from the very bottom to the very top. The top is Division 1. The development and really the manpower needed to have these 5 tiers. So you started at mini.
Yeah, which we are calling academies. We want each club or each teams now to form a club and must have academies. And having academy means even if it comes to the adoption of primary schools as mini schools, as your mini team, junior schools as your super mini team, and even some senior schools as your junior teams. And so we want the clubs to have a partnership with the high schools because we want this to be a community building thing. And so basketball just not going to be a competition for entertainment. We want these clubs to get involved in the community and the schools, that they have that great impact. And you talk about the big brother system. Well, there are players who should be big brothers to these little kids that coming up in the super mini, junior, and even the high school. And I think with that being, making sure that these kids are disciplined, knowing the basic fundamentals of the game, but also teaching them the aspects of lifestyle to make them better, upright citizens in the country is without the most important. And if we get that type of participation from the clubs, then basketball will be making a great impact in the community.
Good. Excellent idea, Coach. I mean, I think it's going to be, this move is going to be excellent for the growth of basketball and the development at the academy stage. And,
the academy is important.
Yes, it is. I mean, I have a son that plays baseball. I am always extremely jealous when I go out to Freedom Farm. And I say, good Lord, what do we have to do to get this happening for basketball? And I think, that is probably a step in the right direction to get basketball flowing. But want to switch a bit, Coach. I want to talk about your mind, some coaching principles from you. How important is culture to you in a program, in a team? Is it just important to that team, or is it important for the entire program itself? Should the junior men's basketball team, junior women's, senior, will they have the same culture? Is it different based on who's coaching?
It should be one set culture straight across the board. Yes. Now, basically, different coaches has their own mindsets of way they want to do things as relates, but their culture they must buy into the culture of that which the Federation wants to implement. And, a winning culture is also always the number one thing. The care for your players is the number one thing, because your players don't care unless they know you care. So building a winning culture starts with knowing these players' problems on and off the court.
Yes.
Knowing that you care for them and you are always there for them, Because once you develop a culture or an arena where they can also always come and feel comfortable, feel loved, feel accepted, and it is like when we go home as men, you want home to be someplace of the man's kingdom where you can relax now after a hard day at work. And I think once players enter the basketball court or basketball arena where they are that culture of acceptance and they can feel comfortable and be themselves, you now begin to build up a culture of winning. And most times, some coaches adopt the demeanor of their coach. Some players, adopt the demeanor of their coach. And so that culture, Bacchus, is uttermost important to become a winning program.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. You have to infuse the proper culture in the programs in order to see the players operating at their optimum.
Yeah.
Coach, one of the biggest things in coaching basketball that I've seen is the creation of a cohesive unit. And so, as a men's coach here at the university, I have 3-4 months, sometimes the entire summer, to prepare and to pull a team together to create a unit. And that in itself is a challenge, because you got to be a unit off the floor before you become a unit on the floor. How do you do it when you have only 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks? Your players are all over the globe, and they're in town now for a month, and we got big tournament coming up. What's the secret to bringing that cohesion? And you've been very successful with it.
Magic.
Well, it all boils down to, again, the relationship that you have with the players off the court. As it relates to the national team, we have WhatsApp group that we stay in communication with. Moses Johnson, who is my assistant coach of operation, does a very good job of keeping track of when his guy's birthday. So every time there's someone's birthday, we saying happy birthday.
This is excellent.
We discussing things with the guys off the court. Even though we are all far apart in different countries, we put things in the groups that will bring some laughter, or sometimes we'll edit, with using John Mark, edit a video when someone might have gotten a good blocked or dunked and put it in there, and then they start talking trash with each other. We record practices and then put it in the groups every now and then. So we do things that keep the guys going. If the guy have a good game and he's playing in France, sometimes we watch the game, look at his stats, and those who may not have watched the game, we share in the group and we tell him, good job last night, Bacchus, you had a great game. And so that in itself let the guys know, even though we're far apart, we always got them on our mind. And so because we communicate so often off the floor, when it comes together, it seems like we were only away for a short period of time. And then the important for the success is also keeping a core of players together. Once you have that core of players together who know how to play with each other inside and out, that's what makes the jobs come much easier for us at the national team level.
Of course, that core changes, as they matriculate to the program.
To the next level.
And I could agree with you completely. I remember when we played on national teams many years ago, we always stayed together as a core. Even when we got back home, we stayed in touch with the guys that were abroad. Coach, good information. Last question for you in this segment. Maybe a twofold question. Talk about, do you believe that there's a difference between a tournament player and a seasoned player? Talk about the difference in play, or what they can do, or what do you think they can bring to the game? Because I believe they're just two different players. Quick turnaround, one builds up over a period of time. The other thing I wanted to ask is, in your system, and I've been sitting out watching your system for quite some time, you don't have plays. You have a more fluid offense with read-react kind of. Talk about that some more so coaches who are listening can understand that is where the game is. There's no more set plays in this game.
Well, there is definitely the difference between a tournament and regular season players. If I was to compare to, let's go to high school, which I was recently coaching at CC Sweeney. When guys play in the regular season, they tend to have that time to take a day off and relax and know that if they lose this game, and that's okay, that's one game, but we still gonna make the playoffs and we still gonna put ourselves in a greater position to win. Yeah. When you get in the tournaments, and this is why CC has always been so successful, because the preparation for a regular season is also different from tournament.
Tournament, yes.
And I always used to hear Charles Fisher say, CC can get beat all regular season, but when the Hugh Campbell time, they're a whole complete different team. And that is so, because I prepare my guys differently. And every time we enter the Hugh Campbell, we know that, hey, every time we win the Hugh Campbell, we play 6 games. We don't intend to play anymore. And so we go in each game and we say 1 down, 5 to go. And so the mindset of these guys understanding that one loss could put you in a position, because it's double elimination, that you come up across one deadbeat team who may just get lucky one day and send you home. And so the pressure of winning is that we're not going to put ourselves to be pressured, our backs to be against the ball. So every night in and night out, they come out with the intent that I have to play my butts off.
I'm playing more than 6.
No, exactly. We ain't playing more than 6. And so that's the difference, Bacchus. And those players who accept that challenge and know that I ain't losing this game today, every night in a tournament, they bring that. Through the regular season, one might say, well, I just had a bad day, but don't worry, we can bounce back, coach. And so that's the difference.
See, tournament is no time for that.
No. And as a race philosophy, you have to have a system that you practice the way you want to play. You know, so when you look at it, you have to be able to. We want to play transition basketball. So everything we do in practice is transition towards our offense and defense.
Question for you: at the national level, at the senior men's, are we still in the I want to play transition, or do we have picked the spots where we want to get the ball down low, or are we a fast team? Are we a defensively strong team? What are we?
We are a transition team. Bahamians are just quick, athletic, and we want to play to the best of our abilities.
Yes.
What is our greatest asset?
Playing to our strengths.
And that's just what we want to do. We don't want to play a half-court game because United States or Canada play a half-court game. They have the 6'9", 6'10" guys. We don't have that.
Yes.
So we have to be quick. We got to be smart. You know, we got to choose our options when we in the half. How are we going to play? And most times when we in the half, we have to play a lot of high screen pick and roll, because once we get that first step on you as a Bahamian good ball handler, we going to get to the basket. And then just as breakdown, dribble penetration and kick. Okay. And so we try to develop shooters. And if you watch the last game we played home against Mexico, you know, we had a lot of that, especially with guys like Sean Taylor and Michael Thompson Jr. and those guys, and Dominic Bridgewater, who could really shoot the ball. So we break them down because they were bigger than us. And as they collapsed on the help, we kicked and we hit shots. So the national team is transition, but you have to practice the way you want to play, Bacchus. And if you say you're going to run, everything you do in your transition offense in practice, if you run in a 3-man wave, you have to be running the lanes and hitting each lanes and passing the ball as if you in transition. You can't just go have it and just do as you wish and then expect to get perfection inside the game. So everything you do in transition has to be what you practice. If you have a 5-man break or transition offense that you want to run, we run that as a drill.
Yes.
So you turn your offense into the drill and just become second nature. So once the guys get the rebound, they're already hitting their spots because it's the drill. So I always tell my players, this is the drill you run in practice. Once you see us get the rebound, if we call it the D drill, we in the D. So they know I got to hit this wing, he got to hit that wing. If he gets the rebound before me, I gone. If I get the rebound, he gone, I now become the trailer. And it's look more organized than some high school teams that I know love to run up and down. They call it transition basketball, but they just running up and down the basketball court. And we look more organized because we hit the lanes. We know that after the first pass, there's a pick here, there's a move, but that's consistent practice every day.
To save you from yourself on that one, before you go down that road, I want to talk about how the game has changed a bit worldwide, but I want to talk about a fundamental thought throughout the Bahamas. You talked about this club system, which is 5-tier. So mini, super mini, junior, Division 2, Division 1. Our academy, as you would point it out. But we didn't talk about women's basketball. How are you going to incorporate women's basketball into this whole fundamental change not fundamental change, but fundamental enforcement of a club system? How does women's basketball fit into that?
Well, it's the same thing. The women's has their own associations in New Providence, separate and far from the other islands. They are all in one. And so we are saying to the same thing. If you have 2 women's team and they are not considered to have the academy, as they are not a club, so that they subtract from the amount of votes you have as an association. So even the New Providence Women's Basketball Association has to turn their teams into clubs.
So they're going to have 5 levels. So that means that from a federation standpoint, you're going to, for want of a better word, force the New Providence Women's Basketball Association to have a Division 1 and a Division 2.
Well, not necessarily the Division Two. You need to have 4 out of 5. Division Two is not so much important. But if
there
you
would
have the
definitely
mini,
the
super mini, and the junior,
yeah, and then
and the
Division
open,
One. Okay.
that's what's most important. But you have to have the academy.
Right.
I think that is going to be excellent for the development of the ladies' game. Far too long we have not paid the kind of attention to the women's game that we need to, and our women are more athletic and talented than our men in this country.
Right.
Well, we don't pay a lot of attention to them, but they are.
But the thing is, the chances are of the Bahamas making the Olympic before John Quell signed over was so great that we felt as a federation that the women's team stood a greater chance than the men because of the America region we're in to get to the Olympic. But however, we're falling apart, but we believe that there's some upcoming young ladies that can take us back there.
Well, hopefully that we don't forget the women. I know a lot of times we get caught up in the men's side of basketball that we sometimes forget about the women. So I'm glad to see that the Federation is taking that hardcore interest in making sure that the women are recognized and also pushed to get to that level. I want to talk about, you talked a little about the Olympics, and at the Olympic level, the FIBA World Championship level, we're having some fundamental changes in the game. There's more talk about verticality and who's in whose cylinder. The travel rule is a little bit different. The unsportsmanlike rule is a little bit different. I don't, like I said, I don't want to get into the pinpoint of the rules,
Right.
but how are you adapting as a coach to these new rules, and how do you think that the entire Bahamas needs to adapt to these new changes in the rules?
You have to know the rules, Chris. Any and all successful coaches knows the rules of the game. As rules changes, you as a coach, it's your duty to ensure that you upgrade yourself with the rule changes, bring officials into your practice, teach your players what it means with the new rule changes, because they might not understand by you as a coach just saying them, but demonstrate these things. And I've always done that. I've brought in persons like Freddie Brown, Norman Humes, and I've been inviting them to my practice, Jerry Kohlberg, over and over. And I've said to them, okay, these are the new changes. Show them it and let them see and understand. And once your players see and understand, then they have a great appreciation for the officials when they make that call. And I think that's why I believe that most officials will have that respect for me, because I make it my business that myself and my players quite understand the rules. So while the next coach is making noise of a play or a call that he thought he had an understanding or interpretation of the rule, maybe if he had done the same, he'd realize, the rule is what it is. And once it is, you can't change it. It's not a judgment call. It is facts, what it is.
Right. All right. BBF President Mario Bowleg, also former national head coach. So he says this was his last go-round, I think, in the last qualifiers with Mexico and the like. But as you know, this call of basketball is a strong siren. So sometimes she pulls you back in where you didn't quite think you were going to get pulled back in. So we'll see. So here from the sidelines, we'll be right back with a special segment with our head coach, Bacchus Rolle.
Okay, we like to end our workouts with a good workout. Right? With good physical fitness. There's something while we're tired, we still do some stuff to help build our strength. So since we're tired from the workout, then we keep working to build our strength and our conditioning. Okay, this is normally how we do it. So strength and conditioning is at the end, after you're tired. And if you can do it when you're tired, you sure can do it when you're ready to go. All right, so guys, right here, shuffle. No balls. So a little strength and conditioning, something we can do to end workouts. So it's 3 exercises. We can do split squats, push-ups, something we call shuffle, jump. So in the order there is shuffle, jump, split squats, and then push-ups. All right, and every exercise is 20 seconds, and we roll straight into it. We do 3 circuits. All right? So let's go. Jump, shuffle, jump. We got 20 seconds, guys. Go. Jump, shuffle. Good. Good. Are you working? Are you working? Come on. Good job. Come on, guys. Move over. Come on. Give me something. Split squats right here. Split squats. Come on. Come on, guys. Good job, guys. Come on, Cowboys. Good job, see you. I see you. Push-ups, 20 seconds now. Push-ups.
Dion.
Keep going. Keep going.
Let's go,
There
Dion. You
There
taking a break, Dominique. Good job, Delando.
Good job, Campus. Good job, Campus.
Ready?
Keep going.
Let's go, Javon.
Ready? Jump, go.
Good job, Jay.
Jump. Oh, yeah.
Let's go,
Come on.
Aiden. Good job, Darius. Let's go, Alex. Better work. Good job. Come on, Campus. They doing this. Let's go, Carolyn. You're doing slow. Let's go.
Split squats.
Good job, Jason.
There you go.
Good job, Micah.
There you go, guys. Come on, Campus. Push-ups right here. Come on. Get them out. Knock them out. 20 seconds. As much as you can do. Come on.
There you go.
Come on.
Good job.
Come on, Campus. That's what I got. I see you, Alexis. I see you. Good job. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job, guys.
Good job.
Good job.
Welcome back to From the Sidelines. I'm Chris Saunders. As we wrap up here, as you know, I'm a part of the Bowtie Gang. Head coach Bacchus Rolle is a part of the Bowtie Gang. So we're going to try get head coach of the men's basketball team, Mario Bowleg, a part of that, BBF president, a part of that here. As you see, we have got these two bow ties we're going to be giving to BBF president Mario Bowleg. Shameless plug, these bow ties are available here at the University Bookstore if you want to continue to support UB Athletics and the University of the Bahamas. So as we wrap up, head coach Bowleg, what are your final thoughts on how you want to move basketball forward in this country?
First of all, thank you guys for the bow tie. Blue is my favorite color, so I'm going to look good wearing those. But again, we want to see basketball goes to the next level. One thing we have done is we have started Keno Burrows. I've named him the director of the Elite Development Program, who, as you can see, players that have gone to college and came back or had some problem where they could not finish college or was some paperwork that they couldn't go to college. We are now sending them to the academies in France, starting at the lower level of professional basketball, which will help develop them, but it will give us a better product that we'll be seeing played on the international level for the country. So at the end of the day, our entire goal is to get to the highest level, which is the Olympic and the World Cup. As we can see, we've qualified for the World Cup qualifiers now and America Cup qualifiers, but we want to get to those games where we have our best basketball players on the floor. And the only way we can do that is we continue to allow our players to leave this country, go get better, and play at the highest level professionally and at the university levels, and come back home and represent the country well.
All right, head coach Mario Bowleg, BBF president, thank you so much for being with us here on our very first From the Sidelines. Also, co-host Bacchus Rolle, your final thoughts as we talk about getting basketball and getting sports to the next level.
Well, you know, Chris, Mario, I am excited. I'm truly excited by what I'm hearing, and I'm excited with the changes that the new administration is bringing in place. I think we're in an excellent direction with the infusion of the academies. Ensures that the future of basketball in this country is secure. I am just so happy to hear that. And we see it every day. We hear that, you know, players are signing in France and in the lower level European league teams. And it just shows that we have the ability to do it. My only concern, not even a concern, would be to ensure that our players have the stickability to stick with it. Because it is only through that persistence we will rise to the top.
All right, head coach Bacchus Rolle here at the University of the Bahamas. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching on our very first From the Sidelines. We're going to have a 10-episode season, so make sure to join us here as we talk about basketball and sports in this country, as we try to add to the discussion of moving our society forward and moving sports along with it. So on behalf of the entire team, including our technical team from the Office of University Relations, co-host Bacchus Rolle, I'm Chris Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us from the sidelines.